the show. You are live here with Dave Jose. Today we are going to be doing some special work. I want to check in and make sure that you guys can hear me well. Hopefully, you guys have amazing sound. Hopefully, you guys can share this video out all over the place. You should have just seen us get started just a second ago. Today, we are going to be dealing with the national injunction against firearm tyranny. Now, I know that not everybody is going to want to do a private injunction, but I believe that everyone would want to have the chance to at least be able to put the government on notice and deal with these issues that we are facing. If you can, please let me know that you are here in the comments or in the live chat. We should be live on Switcher Studio as well. I know that this program could probably get out of control with the number of people who come on, split up between the two sources. So it is possible that we could have Switcher Studio completely crash because of the number of people who were interested in this subject. I did put out that link first. It is good that you guys can see and hear me. I do want to let you know, please share this all over. I do want to get people on in order to be able to explain what it is that we have the power to do. I believe that I owe it to America. America has been very good to me. God has been good to me. And I believe that it is valuable for the people to know and understand their rights and power. I believe that for too long, government officials have hidden the truth from us. Attorneys have hidden the truth from us. Even our own school teachers have hidden the truth from us. So I'm going to need you guys more now than ever to share this all over. I want to welcome some of you on. Denise, I want to say hey. D. Dugan, Aldila, Behater, Think More, Squirrel Man. I want to say hello. One Body Service, Carby 1963. I want to say hello. Benji 24-year-old monster-in-law. I want to say what's up. Lionheart, hello. Owl 218, Jill, Sandy Zane. I want to say hello. L Lovely, hey hey. Guy, Shadowband Warrior. It is going to be a heavy one today, so I need you guys to share this all over. The numbers are going up really fast. What's up, Trucking Up? Snyder's BBQ. What's up? What's up? Hello, Kelsey Nikki. Guys, we are going to see a truth today that has been hidden from us. Now, for many of you guys, while we're getting people on, wow, I want to thank you, Anthony, for the $20 love gift. That's a blessing. You guys are so amazing. I'm just getting on, and you guys are giving me blessings. Your presence is blessing enough, guys. You know, you guys are going to be the ones who change the nation. There's not going to be some big knight in shining armor that is coming to save us. What's going to happen is that God is giving us wisdom and understanding, and he's blessing us, and he's allowing us to do the unthinkable. And what we have to do is take on our role, and we need to understand the truth and share it with each other as quickly as possible. Guys, I will tell you, in history, the only way that our forefathers won, the only way is that they took the truth, they took knowledge and understanding, they took information, and they shared it with others. Pep466, thank you for the love. V English 1, thank you so much for the love. Thank you for being here from Georgia. Guys, I got to tell you, we are getting ready to shake the nation even more. Now, many of you guys know that we did some original work in sending notice to instruct our government officials when it comes to the Supreme Court and the legislature in dealing with the armed situation before. And I told people before everything started going crazy with the Bruin cases, or the Bruin case and other cases that were pulled together, I said, guys, after we write these notices and affidavits, you're going to see within 2 weeks to a month, the Supreme Court is going to go crazy, right? They are going to be running around looking for cases to hear. in order to deal with the issues that we showed, because we finally understood how they were hiding the law. Hello, unlock the Constitution. So what we're going to do, guys, is we're going to go deep into some things today, but I need to deal with your psychology first, because understand, guys, that what's happening in America today is that people are attacking your rights in many different areas at once. They're trying to put stuff in your food. They're trying to groom your children. They're trying to take your children to tranny study hour without your permission. They're trying to act like they have the power to fight to take your guns away from you. They're trying to act like they have the power to give your power over to the World Health Organization or the WEF, right? They are throwing so many things at you at once that it will cause you to be divided. And please hit that like button, guys. We are at 191 people watching on one platform. I put out the other platform first, so we probably have more on that one. But we need to really get this out here, guys. We can shake the nation with only 100 people. But I believe that it's going to get way bigger, and we're going to be moving up in the numbers today. And Rumble usually sheds my numbers, right? The numbers usually are shown to be really low compared to the number of people who are talking at the time that we're on live. So I need you guys to personally share this. I need you guys to get this to people in your cell phone, text message people, let them know. I need you to get this to people on Twitter, Facebook, your YouTube community channels. You know, let's get this all over the place, because I'm telling you guys, if we're going to fix the things with arms, which we're very close to winning altogether. And like I said, we started this battle before. Let me get that idea out. We started this battle before. We told ahead of time that the Supreme Court, you can see this on my Rumble, Dave Cares for You. You can see where we told the Supreme Court what it is that there was their duty to do. We told the federal legislature and how we knew that they were breaking the law. And what ended up happening was they did exactly as we said, started running around looking for cases in order to let it be known what the real law was. The Bruen case knocked down, it knocked down court cases and decisions going all the way back to the New Deal time, right? All the way back. Now, the reason that happened is because the government was trying to deceive us pretty much ever since that time, and then they kind of got caught. And so I'm going to prove this to you. I'm not going to just say it, because I want everybody to understand what the real law is. And a lot of times people will tell you things and they won't prove it to you. And I don't think that's fair. I think in the world today, we are dealing with a lot of problems and a lot of issues because attorneys have been taught backward and they're cocky in many cases. Not all. There's some good ones out there, but there's a lot of attorneys who've been taught that they're the only ones who can know. And then when we challenge them with the real law, they can't fight because they never learned. And so they're afraid to go live with us and have discussions because they don't know where we're coming from. And when we pull out evidence and books and the truth, it just blows up what we say and it knocks down what they say. So they're afraid to talk. And then when we talk to a lot of politicians don't know what the law says. So when I try to talk to some politicians, they look and they say, actually, I see what you're saying. It's clear as day. I mean, what can I do to help? In some states, we have tons of politicians who do exactly what we say, who listen to us, get instructed and directed by us. In some places, we have a few, right? But what ends up happening is that we get some politicians who have learned from attorneys or who are attorneys, and they want to fight with everything they can because they know one simple thing. And I think this about some politicians who are running even with big names. They want to come into office to be leaders. They want to rule and make decisions and run states and countries. They don't want to necessarily serve and be humbled by the people and before the people to do what we would have them to do. So the message that I give that teaches the people to have all power is not appealing to them. It is not appealing to them because when we have all the power, they're held accountable. When we have all power, they lose because they can't run side deals. They can't give our money to the Ukraine. They can and send money back to themselves. They can't go and traffic children all across the world and send, take babies from parents unlawfully at the border and in America and then send them to other countries under, fake passports and fake doctor's notes and all that stuff. They can't do that anymore. So guys, understand that you are part of one of the biggest battles in American history, and it's because of you, by God, that we are going to win, because you are paying attention to the truth. It doesn't take billions of people to change the earth. It takes a few dedicated, knowledgeable people who will spread the word like crazy and take massive action. That's what it takes, by God. We got to have the wisdom of God first. We got to have understanding. We got to do things based on the law. But if we are ferocious in our fight that is lawful and peaceable, we are going to be victorious. Now, guys, we are at 244 people. Let's share some more. I'm sure we're way higher than that, but this is Rumble. So we got to do what we got to do. So please share it out, guys. I'm going to open up, guys, with asking you guys something in order to get your mind going. Now, just know, guys, that I take no credit for what it is that I show you. It is by God that I learned this. I give him all praise and all thanks. He has allowed me to suffer through things that allowed me to study. I didn't know what to do at the beginning, but when he let me pursue the truth, he started to let me see in the scriptures that I wasn't supposed to just trust in people who hated him. And when I started to study with that in mind, I ended up alone because a lot of the people didn't want to hear what I had to say about him. But then I started feeling moved to go study and see what I could find. And I started finding information about the state constitutions, the original law, and the such. And when I started to study and understand these things, there was nobody else in my arena that understood these same things. Now, there were some men who gave me wise counsel along the way that I learned certain things from. And when I learned these certain things from them, it put some pieces together. But predominantly, God let me go a different route. And in that seeking, he let me find real truth that others were not talking about. And I believe this is what is going to be a blessing to you today. So let's look at something that I think we should focus on just for a very small amount of time. Please share this, y'all. Get this out. I want you guys to imagine with me for a short amount of time. I want you to imagine a world. Imagine a world where you are not allowed to have any weapons to defend yourself. Picture this in your mind. And as you're standing in a world where you cannot defend yourself with a weapon, I want you to imagine that the wicked people in the world who are not lawful will be able to still attain, make, or get weapons. They can make, attain, or get weapons, even though they're illegal. And I want you to imagine that these people are able to go where they want to go freely with their weapons, and there's no people who have weapons to stop them but police. Now, I want you to recognize that your best chances of survival, and everybody please share this, get this out. Your best chances of survival is you calling the police when you have people who have weapons and you don't. Now, over time, things often get worse. So I want you to imagine that time goes by and it gets to the point where these people start buying off the police. So they know they want to hurt you. And when you call the police, they don't show up on time. Because they know that these people were trying to hurt you on this day. I want you to just imagine this for a short time, guys. I want you to realize that it can easily get to the point, as it was in the Bible, where men would come together in the town and not care who wanted them to behave or who didn't, but they would rape other men who came to visit you openly. So they'll see people come into your house and they'll say, hey, bring us those men out that you just brought in because we want to have relations with them. Imagine that they would hit your door and then kick the door down and rape your spouse, male or female, rape your children in front of you at gunpoint. I want you guys to imagine this world because this can really happen. And I hope my video is still processing well. It shows a little signal issue. Let me know. I want you guys to imagine what it would be like to suffer under that type of oppression and wickedness with no way to defend yourself against an armed group of criminals. Is this what our forefathers intended? Because across the nation and in history, when there was wickedness like this, when there was wickedness like this and the towns and the people were programmed that they could do whatever they want to do, they had no problem raping grown people, children, killing people, no problem at all. So we live in America and we keep seeing people say things like, we need leaders to fix this for us. We need people to lead us. Now, we can see during the lockdowns, and I'm just being real with you guys. I need you to understand this because you are the ones who are powerful. When the lockdowns happened, there was no politician that freed everybody and told them what to do to be able to go outside and go to church and keep your businesses. No lawful remedy. There was no rich billionaire that showed you how to be free. There was no attorney that came out and fixed it for everybody. So what we got to understand is, guys, when things go wrong, if we don't know the law, if we don't have wisdom and knowledge, we're going to lose. So I'm saying all this to preface what we're going to get into. We're going to pray real quick and then we're going to get started with the real law and remedy. We don't have to accept this. Let's pray. Dear Heavenly Father, we come thanking you for this day. We thank you for this time. We thank you for all the beautiful people who are here ready to learn and see the truth. Father, we ask that we can give this information, Father, in a way that people could understand so that they can get rid of any bad programming that would cause them to not stand on their power. And we ask, Father, that you give them and this nation remedy and that you let this truth spread through the nation like a wildfire. And we ask that you allow the people to stand up with knowledge and understanding and peace in order to correct the governments, Father, and that nobody would be able to stop them. Open the door for us, Father. Send your spirit before us. We thank you for all you do. And it's in Jesus' name we pray. Amen. Now, some of you guys may not believe in God. You may not like God. But this is who I believe got me to where I am. And this is how I believe we are going to move forward and ahead. Now, what I'm going to do, guys, is take you to some law so you can see the real truth. Is everybody able to see the video? Did we freeze up a little bit? All right. So what we're going to do, guys, is we are going to go straight in and we're going to look at the law so we can see how things are supposed to be, because people have not been telling us how things actually work. Now, I have seen in recent history some people talking about the law, or I'm sorry, talking about what the people can do and talking about the Trump situation. I do believe that Trump is 100% innocent. I do believe that Trump is being attacked unlawfully. I do believe that we, the people, can actually stop what is happening to Trump. And I believe that we should be standing in to correct this, because what is happening today is that our courts and our government is being used unlawfully against people that other government actors don't like. What I'm going to do real quick is I'm going to just share the law. Hopefully you can hear my voice. I'm going to just share the law. So let me know if you guys can see this. We should have it up on the screen. This is Massachusetts Constitution. Some of you guys know me and heard me read this before. Some of you haven't. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to attempt to give it to you guys so we can get an understanding of what is really happening. The truth is, guys, is we have been taught backwards, and I need to show you the truth so that we can turn things around. So if we look here, it says the end. This is the Massachusetts preamble. The end of the institution, maintenance, and administration of government is to secure the existence of the body politic, to protect it, and to furnish the individuals who compose it with the power of enjoying in safety and tranquility their rights and the blessings of life. And whenever these great objects are not obtained, the people have a right to alter the government and to make measures necessary for their safety, prosperity, and happiness. I believe the system might be slowing up a little bit, guys. Forgive me. But we will have to try to keep going. If you have to, please go out and come back in. But it will come up later as a recording so you guys can see. Now, this is going to teach us how a body politic works. It says the body politic is formed by a voluntary association of individuals. It is a social compact by which the whole people covenants with each citizen and each citizen with the whole people, that all shall be governed by certain laws for the common good. And then it goes on to say, it is the duty of the people, therefore, in framing a constitution of government to provide for an equitable mode of making laws, as well as for an impartial interpretation and a faithful execution of them, that every man may at all times find his security in them. Okay, so we see, guys, that the states are what is called voluntary associations. And in these voluntary associations, the purpose of the government is to make sure that they protect the rights of the people and that they can enjoy their existence in this state in peace, right? Now, what we're seeing is that our nation is being invaded. We have a situation where there is talk of trying to remove our right to have guns. And this is something that goes against our happiness and our liberty. So when government decides that they don't want to do what is necessary to protect us, they don't want to do what's necessary to protect the body politic, to make sure that our rights are covered, we have a right to fix it or to remove those bad actors. So what we're going to do is go a little bit deeper. We're going to look at Virginia Constitution now, because Virginia Constitution also explains what it is that we have the power to do. And it's going to explain the relationship that the people have with the government. So what I'm going to do is open up the law so you can see it. Now, what does it say? Virginia Constitution, Section 1. That all men are by nature equally free and independent and have certain inherent rights, of which, when they enter into a state of society, they cannot by any compact deprive or divest their posterity, namely the enjoyment of life and liberty, with the means of acquiring and possessing property and pursuing and obtaining happiness and safety. Look at text of Section 2. People, the source of power. That all power is vested in and consequently derived from the people. That magistrates are their trustees and servants and at all times amenable to them. They are accountable to us at all times. Now, this is something that's not explained to us every day, but we are told that we can only correct our government every so often by voting. But this is not what our forefathers left in the law when it comes to our rights and our power to correct and to fix the issues that we have. So what I want to do is I want to read what it says in text of section 3, Virginia. Text of section 3, Virginia. It says, government instituted for common benefit. That government is or ought to be instituted for the common benefit, protection, and security of the people, nation, or community. Of all the various modes and forms of government, that is best which is capable of producing the greatest degree of happiness and safety, and is most effectually secured against the danger of maladministration. See, when it comes to the Kerry Lake case and it comes to things that happen with Trump and elections, we told them that it is not necessary to prove fraud in order to correct a bad government. When they are not following the law, we have the right to deal with what is called maladministration. When the government is not following what the law says, we have a right to correct and instruct them. And so here we see that we have this power to deal with what is called maladministration because the government is here to take care of our rights, our property, and our safety. So what we're going to do is continue to read so we can get an understanding of the rest of the text, what we have remedy in, what we can do when these people are out of line, as I just discussed. It says, and whenever any government shall be found inadequate or contrary to these purposes, a majority of the community hath an indubitable, that means it can't be questioned, inalienable and indefeasible right to reform, alter, or abolish it in such manner as shall be judged most conducive to the public will. Guys, what does that mean? What this means is that our forefathers realized that it was so important to be able to protect ourselves and deal with the issues of government not following the law, that we can literally go into the law, change the whole Constitution, change the whole group of people in office, remove them by right if we wish to, and then turn around and elect new people because our government is acting out of line. We can bring in totally new people because our government servants are acting out of line. Now, guys, once again, you're here with Dave Jose. We are discussing the remedies and the power of the people. I'm going to show you the real law and what has been hidden from us. Notice that I'm showing you state constitutions. Why? I'm showing you state constitutions, guys, because our rights have been attacked in the by the federal, working in partnership with states for many different reasons. And we are not taught about our state constitutions, but our state constitutions are what are called trust indentures, which are contracts that let our trustees or servants know what it is that they should or can do, right? It also shows what they are limited in. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take you to another constitution. I'm going to let you know why first. Please get this shared out, guys. Let's get this out before everybody. Now, guys, what I will tell you is that when it comes to our rights, we will find that there has been cases across the country that have scared people to death. I believe it was last year or the year before. I think it was last year. There was a case going on where people were concerned across the country because they believed that the government had a right to stop us from having weapons based on a case that was being heard in Hawaii. And they were trying to, the government was trying to show that the people didn't have a right to keep and bear arms based on a certain statute. And what ended up happening is that the nation got afraid because they thought that this was going to be an attempt to take the rights away from people to have guns. But they didn't really look at what jurisdictions were involved in this case. They didn't look at the statute involved in this case and if it was constitutional. So they started to have problems. So what I want to do is I want to look at where we could have fixed this situation ahead of time, because we get into a lot of situations, guys, where we end up broken and struggling. We're trying to figure out the law. We're losing our rights. People are running all over us, and we can't figure out how we need to make things right. And I made a simple notice, and I did a video, and I showed people what the real law says. The reason I did this is because so many people got deceived about what the law was, and so many people were afraid that we were going to lose our right to have weapons, that they lost their focus on exactly what the law says. They lost their focus. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you guys what the law says. What we're going to do is we're going to go to Hawaii Constitution. Now, the first thing I want to do is show you section 1 and 2 so I can show you what it's our duty to do and what we need to know and how we need to stand if we're going to fix all of this. And I'm going to show you how we took part in fixing things like this, and then what we can do in order to get things in complete order. Please share this video out, guys. Let everybody know we are here. We have to take back this nation. So, section 1 in Hawaii. It says, all political power of this state is inherent in the people, and the responsibility for the exercise thereof rests with the people. Let's look at that again. All political power of this state is inherent in the people, and the responsibility for the exercise thereof rests with the people. Guys, we have the responsibility for the exercise of the power that we have as inherent rights, and nobody is teaching us. It says, all government is founded on this authority. Now we got to go to section 2. This is where it's going to get heavy. So I'm going to need you guys to tighten up your belt straps on this one, because it's amazing. So in the text of section 2, it says rights of individuals. It says all persons are free by nature and are equal in their inherent and inalienable rights. Among these rights are the enjoyment of life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, and the acquiring and possessing of property. These rights cannot endure unless the people recognize their corresponding obligations and responsibilities. Guys, what is this saying? If we are going to see our nation continue, if we are going to make sure that our rights are upheld, the people have a set of responsibilities and obligations. We have to study to know what the fundamental law is. We have to understand and know the truth. If we don't know these things, we can't teach these things, and we lose our nation. We got remedy, guys. We got truth that has been hidden. There was the case that was happening in Hawaii where it was said by government actors that the people didn't have a right there to keep and bear arms. The problem is that nobody was looking at the contract that exists in the state. So let's look at Hawaii Constitution Bill of Rights, text of section 17. It says, a well-regulated militia being necessary to the security of a free state, the right of the people to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed. Guys, in the state constitutions, it already told that people cannot infringe on your right to keep and bear arms. Now, guys, we are having a situation where the system is lagging behind a little bit. So what I am going to do is I am going to play a special thanks video while I'm teeing up the system to get ready to read off the next bit of information that we have and the things dealing with what we're doing in the fight. But before that, I want to give a special thanks out to Yeshaya Herbals. It is the entity that has been helping me with my health, and the rest of my people, you know, hundreds and hundreds of people have been able to take care of their health and been able to function and see themselves improve in a way that is unimaginable. Now, I'm going to go ahead and play this video while we tee up the next part of the lesson that we're going over so I can show you guys where we're going to get the remedy, and we're going to take major action, guys. So hopefully while I'm playing this video, everything can catch up. Okay, guys, the system is acting up and not letting us get a video out. So our production is being attacked. What we're going to end up doing is most likely we are going to have to restart everything in a second. Or no, what we're going to do is we're going to continue ahead, and we are going to allow the system to catch up. I will have everything on the replay. So everything that's not allowed to come out now, everything that is moving slow or shaky, we are going to have it on. It is going to go into Rumble perfectly, and we will just go back to it in order to be able to have everybody see what it is that I am reading. Now, guys, what I want to discuss with you next is what is called the Two Treatises of Government. It is by John Locke. Now, guys, the reason this is important is that John Locke gave us information about what it is that we have the power to do as a people. He is one of the forefathers of law, not of this nation, but forefathers of law. And he explains something that is super important to us when it comes to our government trustees and servants. See, our trustees and servants have been trying to act and do things without right, and they don't want us to know that they don't have the power to do these things. They want us to believe that they have the power, and then what they do is they trample on our rights. But John Locke, Two Treatises of Government, I'm going to show you an excerpt from it, section 221. We're going to see where John Locke explains that we have a power as a people to deal with government when they're out of line. One of these times that they're out of line is when the government goes against their trust. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to share this with you so you can see it, and hopefully it will be big enough on the screen for you to see exactly what it is that I'm saying. But this is from section 221 of John Locke's work in Two Treatises of Government. It says, "There is, therefore, secondly, another way whereby governments are dissolved." Now, see, guys, nobody's talking to us about this. They make us believe that the government actors can just do whatever they want to do, and the only thing we could do is recall them or have a vote every 4 years or 2 years, whatever it is, in order to see who we want to be what. But that's not the way the law really works, guys. It says, "There is therefore, secondly, another way whereby governments are dissolved. And that is when the legislative or the prince, either of them, either of them act contrary to their trust." Now, remember I told you the state constitution are trust indentures. So when they get to the point, guys, that they go outside of the trust indenture and they start doing things in a way that they choose to, and they won't protect the people or their property or their rights, they're going directly against the law, the fundamental law of the people. Now, let's see what one of these reasons would be. It says, for the legislative acts against the trust reposed in them when they endeavor to invade the property of the subject. Now, notice we're not subjects. We are the people in America. He was from England. So, of course, they had subjects. For us, we are the people. We have all political power, and government are just our servants. Now, watch what it says. And to make themselves or any part of the community, right? Any part. That's what is called bills of attainder. We'll look at a little bit later. Any parts of the community, I'm sorry, themselves or any part, agencies, please forgive me, I misspoke. Agencies in government offices that are working, attacking the people. Watch what it says. And to make themselves or any part of the community masters or arbitrary disposers of the lives, liberties, or fortunes of the people. Now, guys, this is going to get heavy. Because what has happened today is our government servants have created agencies that will interfere with your power to own a weapon. They will interfere with your power to raise your children without this gender confusion. They will interfere and are trying to make statutes, right? They're presenting them as statutes, but they really don't have the power to do these things in order to make it okay for them to take your children from you if you won't follow allowing your children to have their sex changed or the attempt to do so by people who are grooming them. They want to remove guns from people and be able to label people in order to remove weapons from them. And I'm letting you guys know that this is against the law and it is not what our forefathers envisioned. And our government servants have already made agreements with the people. And this is where it gets serious. They have made agreements with the people in order to work for us where they have sworn that they would never, ever interfere with the people's right. Now, what's happening is they are doing something totally opposite. They're literally infringing on the rights of the people and trying to make it seem like they can write statutes to just wipe our powers away. And it is not true. So we are going to go into some heavy smoke. We just looked at John Locke. So John Locke says you can't make laws that go against the rights or the power of the people, but they are trying to write statutes to say that they can remove arms from people, or they can make a pistol brace so you can't put the pistol on your shoulder, or that you can't have a gun you made at home, or you can't have a silencer and all this foolishness. Guys, they cannot do that. And it is a hoax. So what I'm going to do, guys, is I am going to read something to you from a case that was heard recently. And this case, if I can get it in the screen for you, this case is Brian David Range, and he's going to, it's in the United States Court of Appeals for the Third Circuit versus Attorney General of the United States, Regina Lombardo, Acting Director, Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, Firearms, and Explosives. Now, guys, we know ATF has been giving people a headache for quite some time, and a lot of you guys have reached out to me and said, Dave, how do we stop them from trying to take our guns? How do we help ourselves to get free? How do we take care of these things? Because it seems like they don't want to be right with us, Dave. And I told you guys that, hey, if you want me to, I will put things together in order to help you to be able to see the law, to see the truth, and to be able to stand against it. Now, before I can show you what you can do to stand against it, I must first show you what has happened in recent history, because we did go out and put government on notice. We did go out and let them know that they were doing wrong against the people and that it was not following the law in order to, in regards to them attacking the people over weapons. And we sent this notice to the Supreme Court, and we told you guys that they were going to start looking for cases to try to correct this thing. And it happened. I believe for the first time in recent history, the government got to see the people understanding the law and coming forth with powerful information, and this information was used to change the way the law works in America. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to read you the opinion of the court really quickly. Okay, so it says, Brian Range appeals the district court's summary judgment rejecting the claim that the federal felony in possession law, 18 U.S.C. section 922 G1, violates his Second Amendment right to keep and bear arms. Now, before, guys, they felt that it didn't violate his rights. And for decades, attorneys believed that they could just come in and stop you from having weapons, and it was their power to do so. But in recent history, after the work done in the Bruin case, and before that time, we told you guys we were going to send in notice, and we told you the effects that were going to happen, and they happened. We see that the Supreme Court started to recognize the real power. Now, I'm going to tell you guys really quick before we start. I'm going to tell you guys that I started talking to you guys about the power of we the people. And as I talk to you guys about the power of we the people and being in the status of one of the people, many attorneys and government officials laughed at first because they said, oh, you think because you say you're one of the people that makes a difference? You think that being one of the people in the courtroom makes you any different from anybody else who's here, and you don't have to follow the statute, and the statute don't apply to you, and the government doesn't have power over you as one of the people? Well, guys, we're going to look deep into this case and see if what was done with the Supreme Court and how they changed things with Bruin, stopping attorneys and bad actors in government from lying about what the law is, if it really made a change, and what is the status that people came in. Because remember that people ignored, in many cases, the status of being one of the people which the government swore to protect. They thought that it made no difference, it made no sense, and there was no point in following it. Well, let's see what the law really says. So here it is. It says, we agree with Range. What do they agree with, y'all? Watch this. Watch this. Sorry. We agree with Range that despite his false statement conviction, he remains among, quote unquote, the people protected by the Second Amendment. Now, guys, why in a court case would the judges need to show that there is protection in being the people? It's showing us that the people are protected by the Second Amendment. But I just showed you guys also where you're protected in your state constitutions, and the federal government swore to uphold those too. It says, and because the government did not carry its burden of showing that our nation's history and tradition, I've been talking to you about the common law and the historical usages and how the attorneys have hidden these things from us, and how we have the power to show that we are one of the people based on a common law or historical status, or historical usage, that we cannot be affected by the government running us over. I just showed you in John Locke, in his work, 2 Treatises of Government, that we never gave the government the power to run us over and take away our rights and property. So how is it, guys, that it has taken so long for the government to start to get honest and tell that there is a difference in statuses, and that somebody has been writing statutes against the people by labeling them persons and putting them in a class so that they could regulate their behavior? How come nobody told us that we the people have the power to regulate government? Why didn't anybody tell us? Let's go deeper. Let's go deeper. Let's get this out to everybody. So when we look, guys, it says, and because the government did not carry its burden of showing, right? It did not carry its burden of showing that our nation's history and tradition of firearm regulations support disarming range, we will reverse and remand. Now, guys, we're going to see some things that are heavy. We're going to see some things that are heavy. The material facts are undisputed. In 1995, Range pleaded guilty in the Court of Common Pleas of Lancaster County to one count of making a false statement to obtain food stamps in violation of Pennsylvania law. So, guys, understand, he violated Pennsylvania law. He violated the law. They tell where to look, and it says, in those days, Range was earning between $9 and $9.50 an hour as he and his wife struggled to raise 3 young children on $300 per week. Range's wife prepared an application for food stamps and understated Range's income, which she and Range signed. Though he did not recall reviewing the application, Range accepted full responsibility for the misrepresentation. Range was sentenced to 3 years probation, which he completed without incident. He also paid $2,458 in restitution, $288.29 in costs, and a $100 fine. Other than his 1995 conviction, Range's criminal history is limited to minor trafficking and parking infractions and a summary offense for fishing without a license. Now, guys, realize that it is saying that he broke the law. It is saying that he broke the law. But, guys, it's going to get heavier. So, it says, when Range pleaded guilty in 1995, his conviction was classified as a Pennsylvania misdemeanor punishable by up to 5 years imprisonment. That conviction precludes Range from possessing a firearm because federal law generally makes it unlawful for any person. Now, watch this person, y'all, because this person that is talking about is actually not one of the people who are guaranteed rights. See, I'm going to show y'all all the tricks used by the government I've been teaching y'all. It's going to come out heavy. It's going to be messy for them. Watch this. I told you about the Commerce Clause and how they make up tricks in order to act like you're doing commerce so that they can harm you. Watch this. Who has been convicted in any court of a crime punishable by imprisonment for a term of exceeding 1 year to possess in or affecting commerce. Y'all see that? To possess in or affecting commerce any firearm or ammunition. Although state misdemeanors are excluded from that prohibition if they are punishable by a term of imprisonment of 2 years or less. 18 U.S.C. 921A20B. The safe harbor provided no refuge for Range because he faced up to 5 years imprisonment. Guys, I need you to see that this is what's happening to us as a people. They are using a hoax in the Commerce Clause to allow for them to strip rights away by labeling you persons or using bills of attainders, which is against the law. Let's keep reading. In 1998, Range tried to buy a firearm but was rejected by Pennsylvania's instant background check system. Range's wife, thinking the rejection was a mistake, gifted him a deer hunting rifle. Years later, Range tried to buy a firearm and was rejected again. After researching the reason for the denial, Range learned that he was barred from buying a firearm because his 1995 conviction. Range then sold his deer hunting rifle to a firearms dealer. Range sued in the United States District Court of Eastern District of Pennsylvania, seeking a declaration 922G1 that 922G1 violates the Second Amendment as applied to him. See, the Second Amendment as applied to him. This is super important, guys, because what happens is that these people try to apply a label to you in order to take something from you, but they know that by law they're not supposed to be attacking the people. But they're doing it anyway because the law has been twisted, and for all these decades, the Supreme Court and other courts have been allowing them to get away with it until the people started standing up using the real law, standing as the people and demanding what the government swore to do. Let's watch. It says he also requested an injunction. Pay close attention, y'all. He requested an injunction prohibiting the law's enforcement against him. Range asserts that but for 922G1, he would for sure purchase another deer rifle and maybe a shotgun for self-defense at home. Right? Range and the government cross moved for summary judgment. The district court granted the government's motion. They wanted to block him, faithfully applying our then controlling precedents. Be very careful, y'all, because the government servants want to act like what they put in their decisions is precedence, even if it goes against the common law or the historical usages, which I told you guys they can't do it, and the attorneys don't know this because they taught the attorneys backwards. Now watch this. Faithfully applying our then controlling precedents, the court held that Range's crimes was serious enough to deprive him of his Second Amendment rights. In doing so, the court noted the two-step framework we established in the United States versus Marzarella. The court began and ended its analysis at the first step. It considered 5 factors to determine whether Range's conviction made him an unvirtuous citizen, of the kind historically barred from possessing a firearm. Number 1, whether the conviction was classified as a misdemeanor or a felony. Number 2, whether the elements of the offense involved violence. Number 3, the sentence imposed. Number 4, whether there was a cross-jurisdictional consensus to the seriousness of the crime. Number 5, the potential for physical harm to others created by the offense. Now, watch this, guys, because we're going to see history changing before our eyes. What they were doing was not correct based on the fundamental law the people created, but since the people weren't paying attention, they started changing things. Watch this. The government conceded that 4 of the 5 factors favored Range because he was convicted of a non-violent, non-dangerous misdemeanor and had not been incarcerated. But the district court held the cross-jurisdictional consensus factor favored the government because about 40 jurisdictions would have classified his crime a felony. Nothing that our decisions in Holloway and the others had rejected as applied challenges to 922G1, despite only one of the relevant factors weighing in the government's favor. The district court held the cross-jurisdictional consensus alone sufficed to disarm Range, right? Range timely appealed. While Range's appeal was pending, the Supreme Court, now watch this, y'all, because this is where we started sending in notices and different documents to force the court to start telling the truth about the law. Now, after we did that, guys, things started moving forward really quickly, and we promised you guys that the courts were going to change their tune and start looking for cases to fix things, and this is what happened. While Range's appeal was pending, the Supreme Court decided New York State Rifle and Pistol Association, Inc. versus Bruin. Now, watch this. The parties then submitted supplemental briefings on Bruin's impact. A panel of this court affirmed the district court's summary judgment, holding that the government had met its burden to show that 922G1 reflects the nation's historical tradition and firearm regulations such that Range's conviction places him outside. Now, look what they have to do to him to take his rights. The government wants to prove that if you had a history where you did something wrong in the past, that conviction automatically places you outside of the class of the people traditionally entitled to Second Amendment rights. So guys, do you see what the trick is against the people? They want you to believe, guys, that when they see that you did something wrong or you're convicted of a crime, or they want to label you as a class, that you are no longer one of the people who they swore to protect in your rights to have a weapon. So this is crazy, guys, that this is what attorneys and government officials have been doing for decades because we didn't know, because we weren't watching. Let's keep reading. It says, Range petition for rehearing in bank. We granted the petition and vacated the panel opinion. The district court had jurisdiction, right, in order to do so, because Range's complaint raised a federal question whether the federal felon in possession law 18 USC 922 G1 violates the Second Amendment as applied to Range. They have jurisdiction. Now, guys, pay close attention. We got attorneys out here, guys, who will tell us that there's nothing that you can do. The statute binds everybody. Everybody must follow. You are automatically bound when the legislature writes it. And this is how a lot of people thought for a long time. But I'm showing you guys right now that after the Bruin case, that the government came out and told the truth, that the people had all these rights that they have been ignoring by allowing what was called Chevron doctrine, where bureaucrats would come in and tell the court what the law is without actually looking at the law. They wouldn't look at the state constitution and what they promised the people, or the federal constitution and what they promised the people. They would find a way to bypass your rights in a court that was not based on constitutional law. We came out and we exposed this. We showed the government where they were wrong by notice, which we got a notice for you today. If you look in the description, up under this video is going to actually on our Rumble channel. You are going to be able to go to a Telegram group where we already have a notice done that you can use to send off to the government to give them notice of your rights and to turn things around and set things up as different. I know that not everybody's going to want to do a private injunction with us. We're going to have a membership where you could do a private injunction if you choose, if you're one of the people who care about that. If you're one of the people who want to stand with your rights with law and actually have us help you to write it out and make sure that everything is perfect so that we can move the government to protect our rights. But we are going to give you video for that. Now, I know the video might be acting up for people who are watching live, so we do have this recorded and it is going into a switcher player full speed. It's going into Rumble full speed. It's just not playing correctly. So what we're going to do is turn around and change everything so that you guys can get what you need. Now, the system is having a couple of issues. We will deal with that. But we're going to go ahead and get the rest of this information and knowledge to you. Now, guys, once again, I want you to realize that we, the people, have been told that the statute applies to you no matter what. So what we're going to do is read really quickly so we can understand a little bit more. And this video is going to be yours after we show you the notice. In District of Columbia versus Heller, the Supreme Court held that the Second Amendment guarantees an individual right to keep and bear arms unconnected with militia service. In view of that right, the court held unconstitutional a District of Columbia law that banned handguns and required other firearms in the home to be rendered and kept inoperable at all times. It reached that conclusion after scrutinizing the text of Second Amendment and deducing that it codified a pre-existing right. The Heller opinion did not apply intermediate or strict scrutiny. In fact, it did not imply means and scrutiny at all, but in response to Justice Breyer's dissent, the court noted in passing that the challenged law would be unconstitutional under any of the standards of scrutiny that we have applied to enumerated, guys, constitutional rights. So whenever you have enumerated constitutional rights, as you can see in the case Miranda versus Arizona, page 491, where rights secured in the Constitution are involved, there can be no rulemaking or legislation which would abrogate them. You don't have the power to get rid of a right by a statute, period. Now look what it says. Many courts around the country, including this one. Now look at that. They're telling on themselves now, guys, because the word is getting around that the people know what they did wrong. Look at what it's saying. Many courts around the country, including this one, overread that passing comment to require a two-step approach in Second Amendment cases, utilizing means and scrutiny at the second step. We did so the first time in Marsala. And we continued down that road for over a decade, right? So they're going the wrong way over a decade, they're telling. It goes on to say, Bruen rejected the two-step approach as one step too many. See, guys, the attorneys and the bureaucrats came in and started teaching things and using things that were unlawful. And because nobody knew and didn't fight, there was nobody to fight, they just continued. Look what it says. The Supreme Court declared that Heller and McDonald do not support applying means-end scrutiny in the Second Amendment context. Instead, those cases teach that when the Second Amendment's plain text, see, the attorneys want to make us think that it's all about sophisticated things and we can't figure it out. Listen, when it goes against the plain text, right? Second Amendment's plain text covers an individual's conduct, period. The Constitution presumptively protects that conduct. If you got a right to defend yourself, you have the right, period. When the state constitutions say you have a right to defend yourself as an inherent right, it is that way, period. When it says you have a right to keep and bear arms, you have that right, period. It says, and only if a firearm regulation is consistent with the nation's historical tradition may a court conclude that the individual's conduct falls outside the Second Amendment unqualified command. Our forefathers were smart enough not to qualify what it said about having the right to bear arms because the government would be trying to find a way to limit us from having arms. We have a right to keep and bear arms, period. Applying that standard, Bruen held that the Second and 14th Amendment protects an individual right to carry a handgun. Now, guys, not just the Second Amendment, or I'm sorry, the Second Amendment and the First and the 14th and all this stuff. Guys, we got to realize that your state constitutions, they swear to not interfere. And the United States government swore to protect you in your rights that are in the state constitution as well. Watch, it says, but the where question decided in Bruen is not at issue here. Range's appeal instead requires us to examine who is among the people protected by the Second Amendment. See, guys, now this is where it gets deep because the government swore to protect all the people. The government swore to protect your rights. Now they got this thing going where they've been ripping people off by making you a class of persons that they can attack to get rid of your rights. And it's not working anymore. Everything is changing. God is mighty. Watch this. It says, U.S. Constitution Amendment 2, see Bruen, right? We're going to go down. It says, Range claims he is one of the people. Now, see, guys, I keep telling you guys, if you're going to stand on any status, you're not standing on being a state national. You're not standing on being some sovereign citizen. You are literally standing on being one of the people as seen in the 50 state constitutions and the federal constitution. This is what I put in all the notices, that I'm one of the people, so that they understand that they swore to us that we have a right to do certain things, and attorneys laughed. But look at what we're seeing now. It says, Range claims he is one of the people entitled to keep and bear arms, and that our nation has no historical tradition of disarming people like him. The government responds that Range has not been one of the people since 1995. Isn't that a trip? See, this is why it's so hard when I ask attorneys, who is it that created constitutions? And they have a hard time. They don't want to say people. When you say who made the government, they don't want to say the people, because they realize that they say the people, that the people have all political power and we can change things. So this is why there is a fight and an attempt to hide the power of the people. Now, we've been having this discussion for about 2 or 3 years where I've been showing you guys that the people have all power. The people can redo elections. The people can make the government prove that they followed the law. The people can hold them strictly to what they swore to do without proving fraud or anything like that, without showing that they did wrong in their job. We can make them prove that they spent our tax money correctly, make them show where they sent it, audit everything as the people. But they keep tricking us to go to court and do election challenges. They keep tricking us to go to court and to act as persons. I'm telling you guys, I'm taking you guys to school. I'm taking you guys to a place where you can see a higher power that they have hidden from you that no attorney is going to give to you. And they laugh at me because they know that they need to suppress this truth, because the moment it gets out, fire happens, like we see when we put our work into the OSHA case, when we went after the UAW, when we went after the Big Three, when we went after these arms cases by showing the Supreme Court the real law and told you 2 weeks to a month ahead of time, watch they go crazy and try to find cases to fix this right away. Watch. We have proof that after we put in different lawful things into the Supreme Court and with Jim Jordan and other guys, we have proof that the court started running out and asking people for cases to hear to try to deal with the issues. Real life stuff, guys. Real life stuff. Let's go deeper. So it lets us know. It says, when he pleaded in the state court to making a false statement on his food stamp application, and that his disarmament is historically supported. So the government believed that once you get convicted, that now you're not one of the people anymore, you're something else, and no matter what happens, you're stuck. You can no longer have weapons again. You can no longer be one of the people who can stand on your rights when you've served your time and paid your debt to society, that now you can't defend yourself ever again for the rest of your darn life. Guys, this is the work of evil attorneys and elites and government actors who wanted to take away your rights and property. I am here to tell you that God sees what is happening, and he has built us up for a time such as this to be able to show you the truth and show you that you don't have to stand for it. Let's read some more. Having explained how Bruin abrogated our Second Amendment jurisprudence. See, Bruin came and used the historical law. Bruin came and used the customs and usages of the people, right? Their rights and powers under the common law. Their rights that came from God that are inherent. Bruin came and abrogated all that bullcrap jurisprudence that they used that came from statute and foolishness that went against the people's right that they never had the authority to make in the first place. See, this is why you can't fall into this attorney trick of precedents. We got precedents that says we could take whatever we want from you. No, you wrote a statute that allowed you to do something against what you swore you would do, and nobody was watching, and you got away with it for a little while, but not anymore. The nation is changing. Let's check, guys. It says, having explained how Bruin abrogated our Second Amendment jurisprudence, we now apply the Supreme Court's established method to the facts of Range's case. Both sides agree that we no longer conduct means in scrutiny. And as that panel wrote, Bruin's focus on history and tradition means that Binderup's multi-factored seriousness inquiry no longer applies. See, guys, they adopted some bullcrap that did not follow the common law or the trust indenture called the Constitution, and they got away with it for quite some time, and they're telling on themselves now. After Bruin, we must first decide whether the text of the Second Amendment applies to a person and his proposed conduct. See, guys, I told you guys it is about the use. It is about what you're doing and how you are standing as a status, and what they swore to do in the constitutions if the government can do something or not. And they've been trying to hide it from you, but we've been blowing the door down by God. And now you guys are seeing it applied in real life, not just in the Supreme Court, but even further down in the 3rd District. Let's keep reading. It says, we must first decide if the text of the Second Amendment applies to a person and his proposed conduct. If it does, the government now bears the burden of proof. See, guys, look how deep this is. See, when you use the Constitution the way it's supposed to be, the government has to prove. You ain't got to waste your time begging the government to do what's right. You use what the law says, and now they have the burden of proof. Watch this. If it does, the government now bears the burden of proof. It must affirmatively prove that firearms regulation is part of the historical tradition that delimits the outer bounds of the right to keep and bear arms. Watch this. We begin with the threshold question, where the range is one of the people who have Second Amendment rights. The government contends, the government is trying to say that the Second Amendment does not apply to range at all, because the right to bear arms has historically extended to the political community of law-abiding responsible citizens. Those of you who are students with me, you understand that just said a mouthful. Government and bank, right? So, Range 1995 conviction, the government insists removed him from the people protected by the Second Amendment. Guys, you see how hard they have to remove you from being one of the people to try to take away your right? Y'all see this? This is powerful stuff. Watch this. The Supreme Court referred to law-abiding citizens in Heller in response to Justice Stevens' dissent, which relied on United States versus Miller. The court reasoned that the Second Amendment does not protect those weapons not typically possessed by law-abiding citizens for lawful purposes. In isolation, this language seems to support the government's argument, but Heller said more. It explained that, in quotations, the people, as used throughout the Constitution, unambiguously refers to all members of the political community, not an unspecified subset. Come on now. Come on now. You guys see how dirty these actors have been, these tricks that they have played? They have taken weapons, allowed for people to die, allow for people to stand without their rights, to sit in harm, to walk home as sitting ducks, to not be able to have their right to have a weapon in their houses or apartments because the government used the law wrong and allowed bureaucrats to make statutes and the such against the rights of the people. Now, if you go read in this case, I put the link in the group that I sent you guys to on Telegram to the case. In the case, you're going to find that these laws that are recent, that have nothing to do with the common law, the tradition of the people, that are new to the people, were created during the time of the New Deal. The New Deal is when I showed you guys that they started training attorneys differently and changing the way the law works to make administrative courts to take your stuff by administrative law and not judicial courts. If y'all want to go deeper into that, I got training on that. I got webinars on that. I got information that will blow your mind. Guys, we are taking the nation back fast, by God. Nobody is going to be able to stop us. There is more than enough wisdom, knowledge, and education for you to see what I've already taught to help the people to beat these things. But watch this. It says, so the Second Amendment right said presumptively belongs to all Americans. All Americans. Range cites these statements to argue that law-abiding citizens should not be read as rejecting Heller's interpretation of the people. We agree with Range for 4 reasons. First, the criminal histories of the plaintiffs in Heller, McDonald, and Bruin were not an issue in the cases, so their references to the law-abiding responsible citizens were dicta. And while we heed the phrase, we are careful not to overread it as we and other circuits did, what they did before, with Heller's statement that the District of Columbia firearm law would fail under any form of heightened scrutiny. Secondly, the constitutional provisions reference the people. It mentions the people twice with respect for voting for Congress. And the people are recognized as having rights. Watch this as I teach y'all with the PMAs to protect yourselves. Having rights to assemble peaceably to petition the government for redress and to be protected against unreasonable searches and seizures. Unless the meaning of the phrase of people, the people, varies from provision to provision, and the Supreme Court in Heller suggested it does not, to conclude Range is not among the people for the Second Amendment purposes would exclude him from those rights as well. And we see no reason to adopt an inconsistent reading of the people. See, guys, the attorneys have a hard time when I start talking to them about the people because it breaks their whole conversation. I'm a non-attorney, but when I start talking about the people, they start falling apart. When I say the people can talk about law, as we just saw quoted, we can assemble together for our common good. We can instruct government on the law. We can write the law in Arizona without government help. These are inherent rights, guys. And they have hid this from us. It says, thirdly, as the plurality stated in Binder Up, the individual with Second Amendment rights may nonetheless be denied possession of a firearm is hardly illogical. That statement tracks then Judge Barrett's opinion. I'm sorry, let me put this up so you guys can see it. The statement tracks then Judge dissenting opinion in Barrett's opinion in Cantor versus Barr, in which he persuasively explained that all people have the right to keep and bear arms, though the legislature may constitutionally strip certain groups of that right. We agree that the statement in Binder Up and then Judge Barrett's reasoning. Fourth, the phrase law-abiding responsible citizen is expansive as it is vague. See, guys, they try to write something that makes it look like they can control someone's rights by making a vague title for it, a label, what is called a bill of attainder, going after certain persons or a class of persons with a statute. Watch this. Fourth, the phrase law-abiding responsible citizen is as expansive as it is vague. Who are law-abiding citizens in this context? Does it exclude those who have committed summary offenses and petty misdemeanors, which typically result in a ticket and a small fine? No. We are confident that the Supreme Court references to law-abiding responsible citizens do not mean that every American who gets a traffic ticket is no longer among the people protected by the Second Amendment. Perhaps then the category refers only to those who commit real crimes, like felonies and felony equivalents. At English common law, felonies were so serious they were punishable by estate forfeiture and even death. Right? But today, felonies include a wide swath of crimes, some of which seem minor and some misdemeanors seem serious. As the Supreme Court noted recently, a felon is not always more dangerous than a misdemeanor. As for the modifier responsible, it only serves to undermine the government's argument because it renders category hopelessly vague. In our republic of over 330 million people, Americans have widely divergent ideas of what is required for one to be considered a responsible citizen. At root, the government's claim that only law-abiding responsible citizens are protected by the Second Amendment devolves authority to legislators to decide whom to exclude from the people. They are saying that the legislature don't even have the power to exclude people from being the people. We reject that approach because such extreme deference gives the legislator unreviewable power to manipulate the Second Amendment by choosing a label. And that deference would contravene Heller's reasoning that the enshrinement of constitutional rights necessarily takes certain policy choices off the table. Guys, see, you're going to understand something really powerful here. Government officials make policy, guys, in order to deal with how they're going to handle our rights and our property and our nation. These people don't have the right to just create anything they want to and apply it to you, to take away your rights, to tell you what to do. That is not what they were put here for. See, their policies that they want to make was created so that they can put in greater detail what duties and things they were going to carry out to benefit us. Right? Government was created for our benefit and protection and security. It was not created for them to make money off of how they attack us. So guys, what we understand is that the government had went against this man's right, and now it shows that this man has a right to bear arms based on the historical tradition and usages. He has a right to have weapons. They agreed and And it's known now that the government is totally 100% with protecting his rights when it comes to uh, the um, the court. Now we gotta understand, guys, that these are some of the things that we have been fighting across the nation, and people have tried to tell us that what I was saying was not true. And I told you guys, all we need is a little bit of time for us to get the government the truth, to be able to show them to the law, and things were going to break. Now you guys see that these things are seriously breaking. People are falling apart in their beliefs and their ideas about how our rights work. And we are now standing exactly where we told you guys we would, on the truth. And there's nobody who can defend against what it is that we say. We have done the work. We have put the cases together. I'm sorry, we have put the documents together to attack the cases, because we know that we have a right to give our government notice. We don't have to wait for the government to decide to do what is right. We instruct them and tell them what to do. I apologize, guys, if the reception is bad. I apologize if things are acting up. But what is going to happen is this video will go through later and come back correct and right. So you don't have to worry about it. We will make sure that the video is perfect. We will either put up the recording. It will be on Switcher, and it should be on Rumble as well. Now, we will have it come up perfectly, guys, so you don't have to worry about it. You will be able to see this clearly. It will upload right. It will just take time to get there. But we are going to read this notice that we have in the group, and we will let this video be yours. If you join the group, inside of the description, you can actually get to the place where we will be discussing further things. You can see the court case there in its entirety. You can actually see some of the work we have with notice. And if you choose to be part of the membership, where we can actually write the injunction and actually do it together and deal with the law together as a people, as a group, that will be available too if you should choose to do so. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to let you guys see this notice that we put together. This notice I actually already had done, waiting to bring forth fire against bad actors, and it was done on 8/3/22. So I've had it for some time. And it says, notice and demand to cease and desist from attacking the people's right to protect themselves, and states, I, space, one of the people, as seen in the 50 state constitution. Notice that I've been doing this for a long time, showing the people their power to work as one of the people. It says, sui juris, do present you with this notice, that you and your agents may provide due care. Now, we may have to edit a little bit if this isn't the edited version, but I'm going to just give you what we have so you guys can hear it. Please take notice that the people have taken time to do the proper study to become able to be able to come together in mass across the nation to deal with matters of the common good, and wish to address your attempts to use legislative fiat to attack the people's rights. Please take notice that Congress has no authority to interfere with the people's right to have weapons they deem necessary for defense. See authority below. I think this is going to be 9C rather than 9F, but we will see. It is a liberty of free citizens to retain arms for their protection and according to their condition. That is from Maxims of Law by Charles A. Weisman. We will get together with that and discuss that as we get a time or a chance to. Please take notice that the people have a guaranteed and absolute right to have weapons necessary to preserve themselves and condition, and that there can be absolutely no possible authority for any legislature to make a rule, ban, or statute which would go against any right of the people without express written consent. See Miranda versus Arizona, where rights secured by the Constitution are involved, there can be no rulemaking or legislation which would abrogate them. Please take notice, writing ambiguous laws. Now, notice way back then, I'm talking about ambiguous laws. I put this inside of a notice that I sent before, And notice that in the case today, they're talking about ambiguous law and the Commerce Clause. Now watch this. Watch how deep this is. Writing ambiguous laws under the Commerce Clause. See, I'm calling it out way ahead of time before attorneys or anybody else is looking at it. With interstate commerce and international commerce has nothing to do with the common rights of the people, derivative from the common law, that you swore as trustees to protect as a condition for receiving employment as the people's service. There's no way to get away from this, guys. Watch this. Maxim 9D. Laws are silent amidst arms. Right? Please take notice that as a maxim, you swore to never attack the rights of the people. Therefore, the people know and realize that your statutes are not against private use of the people or their associations. Guys, notice that I protected people in many different areas with private associations. Watch where I get this from. 9B, under the name of arms are included not only shields and swords and helmets, but also clubs and stones. Please take notice. As the people, notice that I keep quoting the people, right? We understand that you don't dictate weapons are okay for us. You may have enjoyed attorneys who have helped to write statutes without jurisdiction and vague. Just like the court said, y'all, they are saying exactly what I said to them. To allow for theft of jurisdiction as a possibility for decades. But the people have now become educated and no longer willing to allow servants to act outside of authority delegated. Check Missouri Constitution. I gave them a couple examples. The right of every citizen to keep and bear arms, ammunition, and accessories typical to the normal function of such arm in defense of his home, person, family, and property, or when lawfully summoned in aid of the civil power shall not be questioned. Right? The rights guaranteed in this section shall be unalienable. Right? Let's go down. Please take notice that you as agents of the United States have made contracts with all states, and agreed that these rights were inherent in the people nationwide. Now notice, they say in their documents, in their court case, that if you read the case, that many of the states give the enumerated power of the people to keep and bear arms, and you can't touch it. So they brought that up too. That a well-regulated militia composed of the body of people trained to arms is the proper, natural, and safe defense of a free state. Therefore, the right of the people to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed. Michigan Constitution, Bill of Rights. Every person has a right to keep and bear arms in the defense of himself and the state. See, they get on TV and they talk about all these things with hunting, and you don't need that for sport shooting and all that stuff. That's not what the freak it was for, and that's not what you swore to, right? So I go on to say, please take notice that the people understand your limited powers granted in the federal constitution in regards to the interstate commerce and foreign commerce in Article 1, Section 8 of the United States Constitution. So I'm calling him out on it way back then. And would like to believe that you are not presenting this gun ban as an attempt to block the power of the lawful people to buy weapons of their choosing, as the original intent of the legislature, as shown in your own statute, declares the same. See evidence below. So I go to Title 1, State Firearms Control Assistance, October 22, 1968, purpose. Section 101. The Congress hereby declares that the purpose of this title is to provide support to federal, state, and local law enforcement officials in their fight against crime and violence. And it is not the purpose of this title to place any undue or unnecessary federal restrictions or burdens on law-abiding citizens with respect to acquisition, possession, or use of firearms appropriate to the purpose of hunting, trap shooting, target shooting, personal protection, or any other lawful activity. And that this is not intended to discourage or eliminate the private ownership, not public, private ownership of or use of firearms by law-abiding citizens for a lawful purpose. Guys, this is what I showed them and showed you guys over time that they were trying to hide. The Supreme Court came out and is exposed. I'm going to give you guys a little bit more, and then I'm going to let this video be yours. Please take notice that as with people, we now recognize that you can't make a law against the people's guaranteed rights, nor can you make any rule that would infringe against the right of the people. It is therefore understood that you may have had an oversight in the presentation of your ideas that somehow these statutes that you have written somehow affect the rights of the people you serve. Please take notice that a failure to immediately give a point of clarity as Congress correcting these issues publicly to the people or for any justice of the Supreme Court, wondering why they stood up, to step up using the authority granted to you to remedy situations given to you outside of court. See, we can go to them outside of court, and I'm going to prove it. Shall be deemed a transgression against the people of the highest degree. Thank you for your immediate attention to these matters. Please see judge's authority below. Now, I'm going to show you guys a secret trick that nobody will probably ever show you again. In the case Ex parte Milligan, 71 U.S. 2, 1866, it says this. It was the manifest design of Congress to secure a certain remedy by which anyone deprived of liberty, if you can't have weapons, you're deprived of liberty, could obtain if there was a judicial failure to find cause of offense against him. Courts are not always in session and can adjourn on discharge of the grand jury, and before those who are in confinement could take proper steps to procure their liberation. To provide for this contingency, authority was given to the judges out of court, not in a court session, guys, out of court to grant relief to any party who could show that under the law, he should no longer be restrained of his liberty. Guys, you're concerned about your liberty? You concerned about having the right to have a weapon? You concerned about the fact that they've been lying to us for a long time? They're using our courts wrong and you want to fix it? Guys, we don't have to wait until we're in a court. We can do it ex parte. He who does not forbid what he can forbid seems to assent. See, guys, so I want you to see that now we are dealing with a situation. We are dealing with a situation where we have been wronged and we need to fix it. I'm going to let you guys know that you can join the group below. I'm sorry for the systems acting up. The system is being attacked right now, it seems. But in the group, in the Telegram chat, the Telegram group below, in the description of this video, you can join to get this notice so that you can step up and stop government encroachment now. As we joined in and done before, you can be part of this and knock it down by notice to the government immediately. For those of you who want to join with the Injunction and be part of a private association with a membership that we can work on this together and we can do the affidavits and documents with you to turn in to do a national injunction for your firearm rights and move the government to stand on our rights immediately, not like these big name associations and entities that are getting blessed to be able to stand on their rights and nobody else get injunctions. We're going to change that. We're going to step up and do this thing differently. But for anybody who wants to take part, I'm going to shut this video down. Please come into the description. I wanted to show you the law. I wanted to show you the cases. I wanted to show you the notices that we did and different things that we have done to make the Supreme Court change as well as the federal Congress. This is what we've done, guys, and this is what you can do. We're going to go ahead and give this video to you guys. We will have private things in the Telegram chat in the description. If you guys want to join, the video will upload the rest of the way on its own. So let me know if you guys have seen this. Please give me some feedback in the comments. I'm sorry that things slowed down, guys. We will fight against this and we will stand up and we will be victorious by God. It is game over. It is time. We thank you guys and we love you. This video is yours.